Chai. Only when I go like don't start talk for four. About okay. I think we are live. We are live. We are live. We are live, people. We live. You can see the king is right here. A lot to share, a lot to discuss, a lot to converse. So join us live now. Join us live on Pan African Daily TV.
You
Yeah.
are watching the Pan African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tatah. The Africa we want: unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherlands calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign.
No more noise. We have to go direct into the program because we want to use the best of our time um, and to welcome King Maponga Joshua, who has been away, who has been on a continental tour to tell us actually the position where Africa is right now. If you're watching on Farmers of Thought page, we want to salute you. We might be speaking a little bit of Zimbabwe with you tonight here. And today we went live on Maponga J's court just to test that platform on TikTok, and everybody was shocked. Instead of seeing the king, they were seeing me. I'm like, what is going on? So there's nobody that can represent you, my king. As you can see right now, it is hot out there. Nobody can even speak in your name as you even give us the permission to do. If we show our face where they don't expect to see us, I'm telling you, it's fire. It's fire. So welcome. Today our topic is gonna be Africa. Where are we now? And like I said, King Maponga has been going around the continent collecting some very vital information. He has also been following up the latest development on Africa Union joining the G20, and also the coup d'etats that have taken place in West African countries, and a lot of things that have been going on the ground. Now we want to hear from the king himself. Welcome. Where were you today, my king? Your cap, your hat is that another brand?
Ah, it's actually a whole cow. I cut a cow to make a head. It's a nguni cow.
I'm happy you said a cow because if you had said an antelope or a tiger, the animal-friendly Democrats would have been chasing you right down for killing some animals to make clothes.
The last few months have been very eventful. I think the last time with conversation, we are working from hand to mouth. It's a self-sponsored project. So we launched off in Namibia, if you remember. Then Namibia,
Mhm.
we moved to South Africa. From South Africa, we moved to Botswana. Botswana, I did Zim. We've done Zambia, and we've done Kenya. I'm not yet happy. We did one or two small little shows, but I want to go back there and do Kenya. Uganda is good. We've done a full coverage on all their media platforms to introduce the African narrative. And I think for the rest of the year and early next year, I'm looking at Northwest Africa, East Africa, and right up into the north, like Egypt and etc. So I will not be able to do all the 54 countries, but I'll see how best I can do just to put my feet in one of the places. And for sure, Cameroon is high on the list right now. I think number 2 or number 3 on the list. My next leg should be in Cameroon for the drumming night. No speaking, no talking. We just bring a drum We sit down together as Africans. We play, listen to the winds, and I am actually with the beautiful, wonderful drummers that are in Cameroon. I hope this that when we come to Cameroon, we literally make it lit. Because the drum is deep. The skin is of an old ox or cow that has died. The wood is an old tree that has died. You put the two dead things together in the hollow space.
Who just give him time to connect. Give him time to connect. He'll be right back on the show. I can guarantee you, all right? No negativity, only positivity. So we're gonna get the king live with us as he has started. So stay connected. Do not even flinch. Just stay right here. He was saying, I mean, he's going on the Africa World Tour and talking to the locals, talking to people, addressing each nation. That's a project that he started, and we talked about it on the show here. Just like a lot more are going on the tour. So the Cameroon is January. We already said it. Cameroon is end of January. The king is going to be here. And like we said, we don't want to do anything other than just sit and drum and call the ancestors and awaken the spirit in West Africa, in Cameroon, which is a small Africa in miniature, small Africa. So we're drumming to awake this the spirit of consciousness of who we are. And you heard last time when Professor James was here 2 days ago, he talked about the women in Cameroon. The women of Cameroon were the ones that started the first revolution to kick out the colonialists out of the continent of Africa. The market women of Cameroon. I'm doing a special documentary on that, and that documentary is what we're going to launch in January ending. And after the market women in Cameroon, the Nigerian women connected, the women of Kenya, the women of Tanzania. And that's how we begin to rally. So the real Amazons are the ones that kicked out or started, chasing the colonizers from the continent. And that's why, we're talking about the revolution that would not be televised. So this time we go around drumming and awakening the spirit of of freedom, love, unity, peace among all of us. So that's what the king is on mission to do. Um, we know that if we begin to shake our tails, we'll panic. We'll panic for what is happening, and that's why we're even coming late because he's been trying to join. We connect. The stream goes out. I don't want to think that anything um, is in the background, but I just think probably his network is not really good. You can see mine as well. Is tripping, keeps dancing. But please just be patient, and I'm quite sure we're going to enjoy the conversation because he's taking us around everything that he's been doing on the continent, and we have to kick. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I was kicked out. That's what he's saying. He was kicked out of the show. I bring you here. That's the comment from him. He was kicked out of the show. We keep seeing all this. Just connect again. Try and connect. Let me try and see if I can get him on the phone to find out what's happening. Who dares do that? Yeah, I see you, my king. Try and reconnect and see what's gonna happen. Try to reconnect, or I'm going to refresh. I'm trying to log in. Okay, we'll just be patient while we wait for you. That's him struggling. No reason, no reason why this is happening. But just be patient, like we said. We're barely just a couple of 8, 10 minutes into the show. And thank you all for watching. Drop your comments into the chat. Um, we have a lot. We have a lot to talk about. They're trying to stop Pan Africanism, but nobody can stop reggae. You know it. Nobody can stop reggae. Okay, our buffalo soldiers. We're gonna start using some quotations, and we refer even just, oh wow, he's back. He is back. Nobody can stop reggae. Me like this shirt. Yeah, you see the shirt.
I'm trying to log in. They put some allocate into a thing. When I press, it takes me to some other site and does not want me to come here. But let's move very fast. I don't know how much time we
Yes,
are allowed.
absolutely. We're right here. So tell us. I was just telling them Cameroon is January ending. You look fresh, refreshed, as if your ancestors have been doing some body works on you. I'm telling you, you look younger again.
Dr. Susan, Dr. Susan, I will I'll make a
Yes.
commitment. I'll pay half of the trip for you to go to Uganda. I'll send you there for ancestral connection. It's a trip you must take. I've just come from there, and I would want you to have a similar experience. And it was beautiful. Uganda, the clan names, the totems, the history of Africa is sitting in Uganda. If you just go there with an open mind, you may just learn something about yourself. And I spent a week. We did the Kasese, we did the Ronzori, we did the Fire Mountains, we did Sese Islands, Waganda Kingdom, Winyoro, uh, Jinja, the place of the Nile River. And I learned something very, very, very important, which right on top of the program, I want to share with you and everyone else. When you dream about your grandmother, your grandfather, their graves, their clothes, their walking stick, their what? You are not building or fixing the grave for your grandmother. You are fixing it for yourself. Because there is something that I learned last week that is called ancestral memory. Ancestral memory says when you eat the food your forefathers used to eat, when you see the things your forefathers used to see, when you smell the spaces they used to smell, when you listen to music they used to listen to, and you place yourself where feelings of your ancestors used to be, it your mind is the motherboard which collects present experiences and links them up with previous knowledge, and it awakens in you as to who you are. What are your tastes? What are your talents? What are your gifts? So literally, it hit me so hard when your grandfather says, "Go and fix my grave." You're not fixing it for him. You are fixing it for yourself because you are going to build a memorabilia on which you're going to teach your children from. That was mind blow for me, and I thought I would share that. I would share that on your platform that we have ancestral memory that is awakened when we are in spaces where our ancestors used to be.
And Uganda, you are all witness. He said he's going to pay my one-way ticket, and I pay the rest in Uganda. Maybe I'm going to get. I'll just meet a Ugandan, and I just marry and I stay there.
Like
Why
tomorrow,
would I be coming back?
like tomorrow. I don't have to wait. I'll give you Jaja Sasongo's number. Like even if you want to go tomorrow, I'll pay. For you, I'll pay.
I'm going. I'm going. Honestly, I watched you and Dr. Tony Jaja sat in this wonderful, beautiful space, and you were talking, and I called in, and Tony Jaja picked the phone and said, "See where we are in the middle." I thought it was another space, and he told me you are in Uganda. I said, "What are you guys doing there without me?"
Remember Uganda, Waganda, Weganda means the people of the skin. Rwanda, Rwanda now, Rwanda. They have become many. Tanganyika, where the world began, which is Rwanda, as of they've become many. Waganda, the people of the skin. Tanganyika, who were where the world and civilization began. If you just look at the etymology of those three words, will actually tell you that civilization starts in Waganda, people of the skin. Rwanda, they've become many. Where do they stay? Tanganyika, where civilization began. So the fertile crescent in the Great Lake region is actually etymologically punctuated into the space of knowledge of African self. And all this in old memory is called Congo, 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 which is Congo now, Congo Brazzaville. But that whole equatorial space is where human civilization, particularly if we are studying as Bantu people, we have our roots and emanation from the Sise Islands. So I got there and I got to learn about the clan names, the Shumbas, who are the Sibandas, who are the Bandas, who are the lions of Uganda, the Ngenye, who are the monkeys, the Nkemas, who are the Piris, who are the Shokomkanya, Vujena, Mutseneng, Jambase, Fakudze, Lisa, Mube of the South. Intricate part of how all these nations, Uganda has been able to keep an ancestral and Zimbabwe, we actually have a common ancestral space. That was a wow on the one march culture between the palace and the parliamentary spaces where they put all these animals, each animal representing a tribe, each tribe representing a clan, and how Africa actually unites on that 1 mile. That for me was a mind blower. That was one of my highlight trips to Uganda to actually see that we are not a divided people. We are just one nation. We call ourselves different names in different spaces and political colonial boundaries where we are bound. Because in Uganda, I met Rwanda, I met Kenya, I met Tanzania, I met Congo, and I met Sudan in one space. And all of them are, are, are linked to our totems. And we all, I'm a lion, I'm a buffalo, I'm a crocodile, I'm a bird, I'm a sheep, I'm a chicken. And these animalistic, which they might call animalism, actually leads to ancestral memory that sits in Uganda. So I want you to go to Uganda, and I will not say anything. I just want you to walk the secret spaces and see how much and see how much of your forgotten memory will be remembered while you're doing that. And it was a beautiful experience.
I mean, you're speaking, and we're already like we're in the space. So this Africa, we don't even know even a little bit. Imagine only Uganda. You're already getting like. Imagine if we would have to even know this Africa. You know, sometimes I believe we are not revolutionary enough because we don't even know the Africa. Imagine if we know one thing. Tell me, we're going to go to war, isn't it?
Yeah, and for us as Africans, we must stop doing tourism as white people. We must do what I want to
Yes.
call for tonight cultural tourism. Cultural tourism. When you visit a country, don't go where tourists go. Go where the people are. You may just learn something about yourself.
Wonderful. So I'm throwing the question back into the chat. Who is ready to go to Uganda with me? I'll be ready. We plan the trip together. We meet in Uganda and we tour Uganda for a week. So if you're interested in Uganda,
I'll come and join you. I will come and join you. If you have a group, I will come and join you.
absolute, absolute. We're going to put a group together, a group of at least 10, 15, 20 people from the diaspora and on the continent where you want to join us in Uganda. And we start the tour from Uganda and we'll be going country to country or even just the regions to region because I think most of the time,
Veganda. Veganda. Veganda means people of the skin. People of the skin. People of the skin. Vegan. So what you call Uganda is Veganda. Veganda. You are coming to the people of the skin, the melanated skin. So,
so do you think there's a coincidence with Wakanda? Wakanda.
and they were trying to emulate the Runzori Mountains, where aeroplanes to date, you can check it on the internet, to date, no aeroplane can fly past some certain parts of Runzori Mountains. There's radioactive material that jams aeroplanes, and it's a whole spiritual space where if you walk there, you may not come back. You may actually meet extraterrestrial beings who still live in those mountains and stuff like that. So I was not ready, so I could not walk up the mountain. But on my next trip, I've made an arrangement that I will prepare myself and I want to walk further and cross the human line to the supernatural line. But yes, there is mystery in Uganda from Sese Islands to Rwenzori to the Fire Mountains to Kilimanjaro to Jinja. It's in fact, when you go there, don't expect anything. Just walk the spaces. Just walk the spaces, and your heart will tell you as to what is happening in your system. I'm convinced more than ever that human civilization started in Uganda.
This
At
is
the
a this
navel,
is a great Mhm.
at, at the navel of the whole world is where the Nile River bubbles from the ground to water the whole of Africa. 3,800 kilometers later, from Uganda to Kenya to Ethiopia to Egypt to Libya, and that river just puts Sudan, it's the source of life. So Nile, even in the Bible, it's counted as the river that actually surrounded the Garden of Eden. So when you get to Uganda at the equator, which is the central line around the whole world, the equator, and you stand there, you walk 2 meters this side, to the north, the water is turning clockwise. That's how whites think. You turn 1 meter to the left, the water turns anti-clockwise. That's how the south thinks. So Africans, we are not northerners. We don't go clockwise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4 plus 4 equals to 2. 2 plus 2 equals to 1. 4 ancestors, grandmother, grandfather, paternal side. Grandmother, grandfather, paternal side. Those 4 couples meet, they make 1 each. They make your father, they make your mother. Boom! There, you have the 2. And the 2 gives birth to 1. So 4 plus 4 equals to 2. 2 plus 1 equals to 1. And when you get into those spaces where spirituality becomes a reality, your mind cannot hold it, but catapult into spaces where you begin to appreciate African knowledge systems are much, much, much deeper.
See, you're just sitting there, and even everyone in the chat is like they just want to take you out of this bed. Like somebody just want to like hold you and just shake you so that you become. We get a little bit. You see, that's the point. We have spent thousands of years mining other people's business. Our minds had been taken out of us, and we go around talking some things that don't even look like us, whether they call it politics or whatever. Because we never ever knew this African. Look at the way even you, my king, you're like a newborn, even though you already were in that space. But look at the way you're speaking. It's like all of us should just drop everything and just go touring Africa. Just go to discover ourselves, who we are. Honestly, we will not bother the world in anything. We will just sit at our mountains, mind our business, eat from the natural sources, and just live forever.
And what makes it so exciting is when you understand your sorry for the phone just keeps on dropping. When you understand your history, you are able to appreciate your science, because African knowledge systems will teach you about stars, the moons, the seasons, and it's deep. I'm sorry to say this, that it has been demonized, but when you get closer to the knowledge system, you may discover that actually you know nothing. And this has been my attitude when I enter spaces of learning. I always tell myself before I go there that I know nothing. I know nothing. So when you take me to the hot baths in the Ranzuri Mountains, where I bathed there, and for 3 days my skin was full of metal, uranium, platinum, iron, and those pools there. And these are traditional pools. We get there, you soak yourself, you walk up the mountain, you go down the rivers, and you understand that the science of the Africans, what you may want to call it massage palace, stress management, or it's artificial because it only deals with symptoms. When you come to African spaces, you are able to deal with the root cause, and knowing where you are coming from is far much more important than knowing where you're going. Because when you correct the past, you are able to capture and own the present and write a new narrative for the future. So I worry sometimes when I listen to young people who say, don't worry about history. But I tell them that, but you lost your land in history. If you say, don't worry about history, so how are you going to get back your land? Because it's a historical fact. But when you are able to understand history and fix it, you can champion the present and write a new narrative for the future. And Africans, we need to know ourselves. And knowing ourselves, 3, 4, 5 generations, go back as much as you can. you will discover as an African that you are related to everybody else. And we become one big family using ancient knowledge system as a means of political conversation.
As if, one time, King Maponga, you said we have to put all this Africa, I don't know, leadership into one basket, go to one river and just flush it. Like we have to cleanse the whole continent in a spatial way and then start again. Like an African spiritual bath. But I think so. They need to really wash us into some traditional leaves. We need to go and bathe at that river Nile. Because sometimes when we just come home, like the diaspora, or we went to the door of no return, or we went to Bimbia, or we went to, that's not enough. We need to get really spiritual, whether you're born on the continent or the diaspora, because even the continental, we are worse than all. We need all of us to go a reverse. I don't know, my king.
I was not even joking when I said that. I was not joking because many of our political leaders and presidents are coming straight from war into office, straight from bloodshed into office. And then you find that the residues of their misunderstandings are further on translated into the politics of the day. So literally, I wish I could take the politicians into a pool, all of them. I'll do the service myself. I'll wash Kofu, I'll wash Mugagwa, I'll wash Hakainde, I'll wash Ruto, I'll wash Genko. Because in the midst of them thinking that they are running a political Africa, they are forgetting the spiritual Africa. And the spirit of the land is much stronger than the politics of the land.
It is. I mean, I don't even understand if what can we do in terms of that when we don't even know who we are. It doesn't make sense. We have to all go back to get a spiritual, but to get our minds back, to get our memories back before we can even start talking of where we want to go to. One thing that I appreciate and I love about you, my king, and I think that's what makes you very unique is you're not reading a book, you're living the book and then sharing the book. They disconnected you.
It's an experience. It's an experience. We are living together. We are thinking together. We are growing together. In fact, sometimes I feel sorry for people who are following me because most of what I'm saying, their children understand and will understand. But because the parents are intoxicated with religion, church, politics, they won't hear what I'm saying. And it's very painful when I listen to some children who are introducing me to their fathers. And the children can understand me, but the fathers and mothers can't understand. It only says that the ancestral knowledge has skipped a generation to interpret these messages to the younger children and bypass the old people who are stuck in religiosity.
But of course, you're not doing the work for the fathers. That's for sure. Everything that we're doing here is actually and like you said, the new generation to understand, and exactly that's the target. Because I mean, let's just cut our own and say now we are regressing, and imagine the future that still have a whole lot of life and everything to own from their continent and not live in poverty and not live in poverty. That's the best thing that can ever happen, my king. About
It is inevitable that we correct the mistakes of the past and we are able to capture the present and champion the future. And I'm not saying so in a very fancy way, but in a very practical way, that every generation, every nation, every people, unless and until we're able to confront our ancient demons, historical demons, political demons, and transform that frustration into present policies, government transformation, if framework, we may find that actually our politicians are wasting time because they are sitting in office, but they are not changing the system. At the end of the day, they have become continuous perpetrators of colonial governance over the African children. So I'm very passionate, and I think I'm in a safe space where I decided that education must precede revolution. We don't want to incite a revolution when our people are not educated as to what is it that we want to change. Many of the opposition parties in Africa, they are not opposition parties. They're just power hungry mongers because they are not intending to change everything. They just want to become the new leader of the same colonial system. I have not found one political party, opposition party, that addresses legislation with the revolution that it deserves, to such an effect that governance, education, business, entertainment, agriculture, sports and recreation, health and technology, and spirituality are addressed as tools for remembering the African. Rather, our new political parties want to get into government and continue the colonial agenda. This is where I part ways with politicians, because they are politicians in words, but their politics is politricks.
Sorry. We know that other systems actually revolutionized their systems. I mean, when we look at Martin Luther King, when he revolutionized the European system and took the Bible out of the church and and actually whipped even the Christians to believe the Bible in themselves, to show love and unity and work in a practical format, than going to a place and listen to somebody tell you how your life has to be, who is in charge of that. And after that revolution, we began to see something else. And today, the churches in Europe and everything are museums because people have learned to love or forgive or leave that thing in their heart. Where do you see Africa today, us filling the churches, and the level of ignorance about who we are is just appalling.
The
Where
the
are we today?
African child is trapped because of lack of hope. The politician has failed. The religious leader is selling a better product, so to speak. So people want food, they want water, they want a clean environment. And because the politician cannot deliver that, the religious leader is advertising a city that is in heaven, where there are streets of gold, and people are putting their faith in the religious space instead of participating with the government to solve the problems. So my question is, if God wanted us in heaven, why did he create us on earth? It's like a husband who buys you a house in Cameroon and he goes to stay in Tubigan. Then you say, then you go, if you build a house, stay with me. Why put a house here and stay over? Now God is supposed to be sitting in heaven. His children are on earth dealing with the devil that God could not deal with in heaven. And God takes the snake that was in his bed and throws it in the blankets of his children.
That doesn't even need you to go to school to understand. Just simple. Just thinking, just think.
And, 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 in, and in churches, they say that is love. They call that love when God puts a snake in his children's bed. For God so loved the world. I don't want to do theology. I will mess up your software. But the narrative that the white people have given us does not end up. It does not improve our sense of being identity and create for us a fundamental sense of nationhood. It actually produces Africans as slaves, subculture, uneducated, uncivilized, barbaric, ancient, pagan, demonic. And in the space of that, the question is, if God cannot deal with the African in his primitiveness, then God never created the African because he does not know the African.
So where is Africa now? And we had on the spirituality level, we see that we have to go on a cultural awareness, all of us. When we even talk about the history, we're still going to make a lot of mistakes because the history is given to us after slavery. But we're talking about the pre-colonial history, our story, that would make sense because most of the things that we call the African culture are inherited from the colonizers. It's a fact. And we begin to say they are our African culture.
The African needs to remember that we build the best civilizations in the world without the help of the Europeans, the Chinese, or the Americans. The show you did with Dr. Small was quite informative. Again, as a way of remembering Africans, regrouping them to appreciate their history. And for me, it is so simple. I don't know why people don't understand it. We built the pyramids of Sudan, we built Benin, we built the Soha, we built Uganda, Abyssinia, we built the Gaza pyramid, without the colonial system. Either we did not do this with their religion, we did not do this with their technology, we did not do this with their democracies. Africa was built on knowledge systems of the past, which stare us in the eyes. And when you look into those ruins. You can study science, architecture, cosmology, agriculture. And these are systems which keep with the knowledge basis to which African present governments, instead of looking west, instead of looking east, instead of looking bricks, we can look back to ourselves and say, what were we? Question number two, what are we? Question number three, what will we become? So in that global village, I say it again, Dr. Susan, what will the African be in the global village? And if we don't go there as masters, we will continue to be servants and slaves. Because Elon Musk, Bill Gates, United Nations, IMF are putting their money into creating a global economy. And in that global plan, Africa is not a contributor except a source of raw material. I think.
Oh, Hasi, I thank you so much, Cozy. You say I love arguing, but this one is actually beyond. It's hard to argue with. It's a fact. It's either we agree or we play around or we claim every existence because some of the truth hurts so bad that we can't even stand our own truth. We just cannot stand it. But we want Africa to be different. But we don't want to develop Africa's system. We don't want to even agree that God did not create us like this. We were different until somebody came and misled us. And that's why it's difficult for us to just even think of they slap your cheek, give the other cheek, they chop it off. And it's okay. No.
And I wish
A cultural awareness, a cultural.
I wish that the cheek that must be beaten is a white cheek.
It is it is what it
Why,
is.
why must Africans be the one who must give the other cheek and the other cheek and the other cheek, and the white man can never give the other cheek? So you took the land. When we smack you on the other cheek, you must also take the other one because the Bible says so. If you want to use the biblical narrative, so it cannot be only one nation that must be smashed on one cheek, and the other nation glorifies itself for being the ones who are beating. We also want to be the ones who are beating, and the other nation must tolerate the black hand on their cheeks.
I want to thank our viewers and thank you so very much. I know we actually would be going round and round. The solutions is what you were saying. We need to take a cultural trip. Anybody that is coming to Africa, we shouldn't come like tourists. Now we see even the idea of investors, and that's why we still come to Africa like trying to get. I want to invest. Yeah, sure. But honestly, you really would enjoy this Africa when you actually know the cultural facts of Africa that are beneficially to you, isn't it? It's only for your betterment. I don't even think that we're trying to please somebody about Africa anymore. Me, I'm done with telling people Africa is like this, or come to Africa, or no, come and do this. No, I just think we are matured enough that everybody wants to come to Africa because of your own benefit. Like Professor James said, what is your own benefit as an African? and then come and get it. So all this question of, oh, they don't give us access, oh, they don't do this. When the Europeans come to take whatever they take from you, nobody gives them access.
Maybe a take home from the conversation is all those who want to take the trip with me. You set up a date. We agree to meet at Entebbe Airport on a certain date, and I will personally, with you in hand, walk you through the sacred spaces. And this is for cultural connectivity, little talking, more experience, and we can be able to rewrite our own narrative. I will be there. I want to make a promise. I will be there. Don't worry, I'll pay my own transport. I will fly myself there. Those in diaspora who want to reconnect, I think it will be quite an eye opener to set up a date. Let's set up a trip, January, February, March, whenever you're ready. Put the dates up, and we can, all of us from around the world, we can meet in Tebe, and then I will take you through the sacred spaces of the cradle of humankind.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much. So another trip is coming up to Uganda, where they did a lot of discoveries, and even Dr. Tony Jaja, the ambassador for peace for East and Horn Africa, actually told me he never knew even part of Africa, even though they were the neighbors in Sudan. And he sat there in Uganda and like, this is it. This is the Garden of
And
Eden where we
by
are
the way,
standing right now. So
I did an interview. I did an interview with Jaja from Sudan. It's on uh, Uganda National Television. Me and him on the Pan African Awards, we did a 2-hour session. I think it will be coming out by Monday, Tuesday. Very, very insightful. I was with Jaja, Dr. Jaja himself. We were here together on one of the interviews that he did. And it was such a joy to meet him live in Uganda. When the war broke out in Sudan, he has moved his family to Kampala to avoid the war that is happening in Sudan.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much. I mean, we have to, it's just going out now, particularly in our ages, in our middle ages now, we should be looking, going to do discovery that we can date back. And I truly appreciate you. I know you're tired and you were on dinner tonight. Let us reconnect again and carry on the gospel. Probably next week, I'll get in touch with you again. Thank you so very much.
Madame is looking at me with funny eyes, so let me proceed here.
I hear already. I hear the kitchen stuffs, the spoons, and the pots. That's why I'm just saying we cannot keep you any longer. Thank you so very much for making it with us. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Austin.
Yes. And thank you too. Thank you, all of us. Yes. Thank you. Hike a hike. You just said it. Big black businesses invest in PAT TV, make Africa great. Yes, I do agree. I agree. And I want to salute all of you. I love your comments here. Your opinions here matter to the construction of ourselves. And like we say, anything that is not for you here, it's okay. Do your research, bring us new stuff on the platform. We like to learn from everybody. And I like the fact that someone like Professor PLO once said, nobody has a monopoly of knowledge. But if we want to learn from each other, I think there are people already on the ground that are making a lot of experience. We can only profit from them. Honestly, to say, I think we did not ever know this Africa that we're talking about. Even me being on the continent, I see a lot of things that I thought, though I was born and raised here, but you see, growing up like a girl or a child and not being conscious of who you are. Um, but sharing on this platform, getting the knowledge and the opinion of the diaspora itself, I've learned a lot. So learning is a continuous process, and that's what we're doing on the Pan African Daily. We're not about entertainment. We're not about arguing. We're not about actually contradicting ourselves. We listen, each person, what is necessary, we take it. What is not, we leave it. We bring our own input to it. Nobody has the monopoly over knowledge. That's the point. So I would like to share a very short information with us. There's a sister that is coming on Thursday. That's in 2 days. And she's a Nigerian sister. I think our sister Stevie shared her video in the Pan African Daily TV Women's Group. And I reached out to her, and she is happy to be on the show with us on Thursday. What actually caught our attention is she made a video saying Africa needs a revolution, just like the Japanese revolution. So we want to find out what did the Japanese actually did that was different and that we need to copy. We're not copying, but when I went through the video, I realized that he was actually talking about the way African leaders misuse their citizens and the way they trick Africans. And he was calling on his peers, because she's a young woman, to actually stay focused, because all these distractions from the continent, if their leaders really love them, I mean, they would actually give them just the basic necessities. And I thought that was very, very powerful to see a young girl in Nigeria, particularly, that is standing up to speak, and I mean, to open eye the youth around her. And she even, when I talked to her a couple of days, and she was telling me everybody, even her family, everybody's just scared, like, oh, aren't you afraid of your life? Why will you be speaking like this and stuff like that? And she said, I'm already dead anyway, because if I can't feed my child, I can't keep my home, I can't have a job, I can't have a decent life. This, I'm already dead. So it doesn't make any difference if I die tomorrow than speaking the truth. So I would like us to actually tune in on Thursday and listen to this young, courageous, powerful Nigerian daughter of the soil, waking up girls and youth in Nigeria to stand up and speak up for Africa, to really talk about the things that are bad, that we keep condoling with them. And she was saying, if you go to Nigeria, Nigeria owns nearly half of the churches. But of course, if you look at the injustice among the people are going to church, but they're doing totally opposite of the things that in the community. So she is coming up, and she's so happy to be on the Pan African Daily. She said she's been following us. She's been learning a lot also from our speakers, and that's what actually gave her the courage, to stand up. She's a lonely speaker, but she's not giving up anytime soon. So I would love us to sign in on Thursday. I mean, she's just like we discovered Usman Toure, and we brought Usman Toure, and today the whole of Africa, Usman Toure is going and giving lectures in universities, in schools, in companies, talking to presidents, about the Africa that the young people want. So imagine when we empower our young people like this to stand up and to speak against this kind of leadership that they have, without remorse, without being afraid of anything, and particularly girls that are rising up to say, no, it's enough. In a very tactful, in a knowledgeable way, in a teaching way. It's not about rioting or going on the streets anymore, but they're just making their points clear. She's been going from places to places in Nigeria, in Lagos, where she lives. She said all her neighborhood, all the other, they begin to notice her, and she's teaching a lot. She's empowering a lot. She's motivating a lot of young people on the continent. It's not only the man or the boy child that speaks up, but even the girls are speaking up in every aspect. This is what we need. This is how the Africa that we want to see for our young people, them taking responsibility, to say, no, this is not the government that we need. And of course, she told me, yes, I hustle for my life to feed my family, my husband, and my children. Regardless, it doesn't mean I'm enjoying. Maybe me, I am. But when I look at my counterparts, when I look at my fellow Nigerians, when I look at my fellow Africans, I begin to say no. Until all of us are on the same level where we have the basic needs, then we can say we are fine. But today, you see some very, very rich people, particularly in Nigeria and in most African countries, and then you see the very, 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 very poor people. It's so crazy how you see the distance between the rich and the poor, the 20% of the rich, just like the 20% of the rich that control the world, and then the extreme, extreme, extreme poverty in the same neighborhood. You see, even from the architecture. I mean, of course, we're not saying that there has to be some kind of, equality where even the rich people that are living among the poor people would have some concerns. They live into the villas, and when you say it, they're going to tell you, oh no, it's because they're smart. Somehow they're just sitting on the wealth of the lesser poor people. Okay, so I think this is a moral lesson when we begin to talk. It's not about only blaming or what the Europeans or what the Bible is doing to us, but we look at our own selves. I cannot be pleasant when I see every other person so impoverished, like they don't even have even to eat or to feed, but I drive and pass in my skyscrapers and I sleep well comfortably. And like, of course, we're not going to solve everybody's problem. But I think if every African, we begin to self-develop and ask this question to ourselves, the rich and the poor together, we would have these conversations. Not only the leadership, most of the leaders, most of those we look upon them as leaders are failing in everything. It's impossible for you to be just so rich, so rich, so rich. And then you have your daughters, you have your sons on the street, you have your children that don't have. How do we go to bed and sleep and feel comfortable with this? So I think most of the things has to come from the love from within us, that we begin to question ourselves like this and say, no, this has to end. The poverty is too much. The gap is too much. It's too much. All right. So I think these are conversations that we have to bring on the space together, and not only one-sided conversation. Of course, we know where the traumas are coming from, but how long are we going to? What about the ones that we can fix ourselves? What about the things that we ourselves can fix? What about the things that the leader of the continent can fix? No matter how we blame the Europeans, it's been 400, 500 years. You still see most of them living a kind of a lavish life, stealing the funds of the people. How do we expect the governments to circle the poor people to get access to resources and basic needs? I think we are doing something absolutely wrong with this love that we keep talking about, with this ubuntu-ness that we keep talking about. There's something not working with our unity, with our happiness, when we can't even treat our own self like human beings. Something is not working out. We need to rebuild not just the colonial system, but our individual self. We need a lot of self-development to understand that I cannot just amass wealth, embezzle wealth when my people go hungry without food. I mean, this is a moral consciousness. What has the trauma of 400 and 500 years got to do with this kind of a disease? What? It's a fact. Sometimes the things that we need to solve, we should stop blaming them on the past. We understand those that are traumatized by the past. Look at our children in the diaspora, our people in the diaspora. They actually worked those slaves. They built other nations. We were on the continent, yes. We said they colonized us and gave us their education and what and what and what, but we're on the continent. How come we on the continent are less better? I mean, in terms of our ubuntu-ness, in terms of our humanity, in terms of sharing, in terms of learning from each other, in terms of putting our stuff together, in terms of saying we can build our villages from one house to the other like our ancestors did. How did we come together to build the pyramids and we cannot build this Africa now? I don't see anybody stopping us, to be honest with you. Yes, there are no guns that are going to kill 1.4 billion people. Please, they are not guns in the world that are going to stop 1.4 billion people when they rise up. They are not. We should stop playing and talking sweet. Yes, we have to know our culture, we have to know our behavior, but we're talking about day-to-day lives that people cannot even. Children can go to school. Most of them, half of them are on the street. What has that got to do with simple common sense and the love among us? Where is the love for a simple fact? Yes, we must return to our originalities. What are our originalities? What are the originalities? We're living in the present right now. Yes, we must go back to Sankofa, but we just talk about day to day how I feel about you, how I see you in your present state of life. I will not need to go back 400 years to develop love to come and help and support one another. I don't need to go in my Sankofa state to learn what love and basic needs of my people are. It's a present. We hustle, we struggle. Oh, no tax. But you see the level of embezzlement that some people, it's just not normal. No. Mm-mm. So I think some of the things that we need to solve, we need to solve about us. Like I said, how should we go back to this, guys? I ask this question to myself, people. I'm not judging or criticizing any person, but these are questions that I talk to myself all the time. Like, how on earth can I see something that is green and I call it white or call it purple or I call it blue? I see suffering in my face. I see hunger. I see young people hustling all the time. I see it. Now, how can I begin to lie myself all the time that, oh, it's somebody that is just manipulating somebody for not doing? It is the education period. It is enough of education. Awareness education is what we need for our people. Please don't bring people clothes or anything. Don't, if you're sending money to adopt a family or a child to send them to school, please, we have to start a conscious and awareness education. It's not about sitting in the classroom passing examinations. On the continent, there are basic things that children and elders don't know. Even just their environment, they're not conscious. We all were like that. We were all like that. If you don't even know a structure of how do I organize myself, you can get all the money, we have all the money, but just small things. And that's why I think you that know all this responsibility to the young people, to the elders on the continent to open their eye. This is open eye knowledge, opening the eyes of the people. We're still too few. We're still doing a lot of entertainment, dancing, samba, and drumming and dancing. It's okay. But the awareness education is what the continent need. Skill education is what they need. They are struggling. They are constructing a lot of things. Most of the time we sit and say, oh, China is building and Africa is not pretty. Africans are building machines. They are producing a lot of things and nobody is buying and talking about it. That's the fact. We have homemade genitals. We have homemade saboneries, detergents. I'm sorry, the homemade clothes. We are not buying them. We are not wearing them. We are not supporting local handmade things. Our brains have been brainwashed into if something doesn't have a Mac, it doesn't have a Gucci, or it doesn't have a this. No, we are not into the level of being humans. We spend our money. Dr. Arikana said it 1 million times here. If we could save only the monies that we give out for things that do not profit us, we would make a lot of money to put our young people even on trainings to perfect their skills. I buy only local. It doesn't matter what we do. We buy just local. We produce good rice in Cameroon, good rice on the continent, in Kenya and everywhere. But you go to the market, the Chinese rice is the one that Africans are lined up to buy. So how do we put our own money always in other places? The whole African market is filled with goods made from China, and the local goods are stopped because people are complaining, oh, it's not shiny, or it's not this. But you buy from China, you're going to buy those goods 1,000 times because each time before you get to the house, it's already bad. We have to be conscious and we have to train our people. If you have any single thing to give them knowledge, awareness of who they are, to trust themselves, to buy their own thing. It doesn't make you inferior when you're wearing a fabric that is made by your tailor in your local markets. No, on the contrary, it doesn't make you inferior if you're not in the kind of a class that I need to be seen. Those are people that don't have self-confidence. Everybody that is looking for a mark or a particular thing is because something is missing in you and you want to justify it with all the borrowed things. Am I against people who have their money? I don't want to enjoy other things. No, I'm just saying the ignorance of you thinking you're a better somebody, you're just a consumer. Awareness is the key. C and S. I totally agree. The only thing that this continent needs, my people, believe me, I'm on the ground now, is awareness. It's awareness. You sit and you see people they have everything, but they're not conscious. They're just not even conscious of it. They're not conscious of how happiness, just the happiness that other counterparts are dreaming to have. They have it for free. Imagine if we empower them, open their eye, give them awareness of their cultural values, and make them responsible and happy people who will not be seeing all this melancholy. Because most of them, they have more than what we don't have. But they don't know. They don't just understand. You see a woman going to bleach her beautiful self. Oh my goodness, you see even the other things that they wear don't even look like them, don't fit them. How do you put this in somebody's head? You look at local herbs that our young people are using, herbal things, they love it. But you go to the market for artisanal, where we have all these herbs and local treatments where you can use for cough and everything. It's slim. The line is so slim. But if you go to conservative sector, they give money. It doesn't even work. They keep giving it because of the awareness. So I need you to support. I need us to support. I need us to come together and just be able to empower. If you empower one youth on the continent, one elder, just knowing who they are, you've saved a whole nation. In your private space, it doesn't mean it must only be here. Okay? In your private space, any young person or elder or on the continent, you who know and are enlightened, you who are conscious, just helping one person get consciousness, like this Nigerian girl that I said I'm bringing on the show on Thursday. She got it. And I thought she traveled. When I talked to her, she said, no. I said, how did you come about making a comparison about Africa needs a Japanese model or Tokyo model of a revolution? And I thought she was in Tokyo. I thought she was in Japan or anything. She said, no. She studied, she's been reading and looking at other things. She doesn't even have money to complete her education or everything like that. But she learns on her own. She learned to educate herself. And she also used to be less conscious until she began to follow and watch Afrocentric things. And she began to understand what Pan-Africanism is all about. Recently, she begins to know that our siblings in America, they are diaspora, they are our descendants. She knew nothing. And 99% of those just going to school no idea about that. They don't know about slavery. They don't know about Black history. They don't know about colonization. Nothing. Even in their local environment, just ask them about River Nile. Ask them which country is on the continent of Africa. Where's Egypt? They don't even know. But I mean, I'm telling you, these are graduates. So we need a lot of empowerment on just awareness education for our young people on the continent and our elders. They don't have a clue. What is Africa? How many countries in Africa? Where is River Nile? Where is Egypt? Where is Jerusalem? Even those in the Bible, even the Christians in the Bible, you tell them about Egypt, they think it's an Egypt that is existing somewhere, not this Egypt that we're talking about. So education is what is going to save us. Awareness education, not just any kind of education. Because when we say education, people always think, okay, I need money to go to school. Yes, to read and write so that you can be even able to understand who you are is very essential. If you need a business to invest on the continent, I can give you 1 million advice, but only business that I can tell you that would impact your people is education. Come and build schools of consciousness, starting from the nurseries. Just that. When the Europeans were telling us, oh, Africa needs education, it was their type of education. But now we know that Africa needs education is the education of consciousness. Consciousness. That's why Africans don't speak out. We don't speak out because we don't even know how to speak out. Because we don't even know ourselves. So how can we speak out? So please, we are recruiting I Speak for Africa, train public speakers with the knowledge of Pan-Africanism, young people that would go from village to household to people to educate. Please, no other investment. Invest in schools, but schools of education and consciousness about the African. That's what is needed on the continent. So I thank you so very much. We're going to see ourselves on Thursday. Like I said, I'll be posting this sister. I'll make a flyer tomorrow and I'll share it from Nigeria. And on Thursday, we're going to see ourselves. Thank you very much. Good night to all of you. We love ourselves and we say Ubuntu love and peace. Bye.
You are watching the Pan African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tatah. The Africa we want: unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherlands calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa.
Okay. Sorry. Okay.